Hi, I'm Ian H Watkins from Steps, and you're watching The Sarah O'Connell Show.
Welcome to The Sarah O'Connell Show.
Ian H Watkins, welcome to The Sarah O'Connell Show. How are you today?
I'm really good. The sun is shining. We have a lot to be thankful for. I'm spinning lots of plates with my kids and Steps shenanigans, but yeah, life is good. You?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm very excited to have you on my show. As you can see, I've still got the foam finger from 2012.
That's the original. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you choose red? I think there was a red and a blue option, right?
Match my outfit on the day.
We should do a whole kind of rainbow selection, I think.
We really should. I mean, I would literally buy all of them, so I'm the perfect target demographic for that.
Oh, actually, so I've requested this time around on our tour, we have fans. So we can actually, so we can literally chante or sachet and do whatever they want with them. I'm loving it.
Recreate some of your music videos. Mm-hmm.
May have hit on something there.
I think I might have a bit of a fan. But before we get into that, so you are, of course, an amazing singer and actor. Is that what you always aspired to do when you were growing up?
Well, actually, when I was in school, I wanted to be a vet.
It's a lovely name.
A vet? Yeah, I wanted to be a vet. I loved everything about animals. My parents didn't know what they would be coming home to every day. I mean, I would fill the bath up with rocks and frog spawn and newts and then rescue like hedgehogs and all sorts. But then my love for performing grew, and I guess I started to show flair in art. So all of those kind of were put to the side. And yeah, my choice was then between performing or going down the art and design route. And initially, I actually did go down the art and design route. So I got accepted to art college. But then I deferred for a year because there was still something burning inside of me. I still had this need and this urge to perform, but I couldn't afford to go to drama school. So what I did was I auditioned to be a redcoat. And the rest is history, I guess.
Amazing. Here's a question then. Do you still have your red coat, or do they make you give that back?
Do you know what? Well, I don't have my original, but they presented one to me many years later, and my mum has it in a big frame on the landing. So yeah, my mum's got it.
So you need to go back one day and just put the coat on and...
Well, I wonder if it fits. I mean, to be fair, I'll always be a redcoat at heart. I mean, it's where I started. It's where I learned my training. I think it was a great start for me, and a lot of other amazing entertainers, it was where they first kind of learned their craft.
Absolutely. Now, you've always been incredibly busy. You wouldn't even just go for one audition in a day. You'd go to two. I know one particular day you went to audition to be on a cruise ship, and then you also auditioned to be in a little old band called Steps. Can you tell me a bit more about that day and how that sort of all unfolded?
Oh, Sarah, you've done your research, haven't you? Wow, I'm up against it today. Yeah. You're absolutely right. I took myself off to London after seeing an advert in, it was a newspaper called The Stage. And there was no social media back then. We didn't even have email or mobile phones. So the way you got to hear about jobs was through this newspaper. And there was an advert that stuck out to me saying auditions for a boy-girl group. And at the time, the Spice Girls were huge. That and Boyzone were like dominating the charts. So this one really stuck out to me because it was just so different. And then off I kind of took myself to London on the train from the Rhondda. And I auditioned for a cruise at the same time and Steps. And I got them both. And the dilemma was, do I travel around the world and have a lovely time? Or do I become a line dancing pop star on £10 a week? And of course, I chose Steps.
Of course. And then you got to travel around the world and have a lovely time as well.
Exactly. Yes. So the latter came afterwards. Yes. Yeah.
So is my understanding correct that the name of Steps, the idea of the group was that every song would come with its own choreography? How was the band originally sort of pitched to you? What was the idea?
Well, I mean, the original idea was because we were based on a line dancing, it was a phenomenon at the time. My mother was actually a line dance teacher, and she, oh my God, she was beside herself. So whenever I obviously got the single or the TVs that we were doing, she would record it and then put it up for her line dance class to see. But yet the premise was that we would have a routine to go with every song. But at that point, we were only signed on a one single deal. So the prospects weren't very good. But it actually worked in our advantage because 5, 6, 7, 8 did so well and so unexpectedly well that we were able then to renegotiate our terms and our record deals. And then we got a great deal in the end compared to a lot of our peers who kind of signed their life away, I guess, in a 5 album.
And now a lot of people may not realise this. Of course, Steps has 5 band members in there. And the original lineup was, of course, you, Lisa, Scott, Lee, but 3 completely different people.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still in contact with any of them? And how soon after the original lineup was formed, because I understand you did photo shoots and even recorded some music together, did the lineup that we now know and love come together? And are you still in contact with any of the original people?
Yeah, do you know what? No, I'm not in contact with them. It's nearly 25 years ago. So, there's a lot that has happened since. They left for various reasons. But I always say that Steps would never have worked if it wasn't the 5 that we have, that you all know and love now. There was just something about our chemistry. There's just this magic that happens when we're together. And it just goes to show that the longevity that we've had, that people, they feel safe with the 5 of us. So it would never have worked with the previous lineup. But we did lots of demos together, the previous lineup. I found them, actually. I've got them in a box.
Oh, really?
Our old photo shoots. But I don't want to be disrespectful to the current lineup or the lineup that you all know. So I would never release those because, that's in the past.
Yeah, and I mean, it's understandable too. I mean, you don't just have one Steps, do you? You have to have multiple steps and steps. I know, right?
See what you did there. Yeah, I mean, I guess, lots of bands originally have, different lineups. Boyzone, I believe, were one of them. The Spice Girls, even All Saints, So, you just try different jigsaw pieces and some fit, some don't. But luckily, we got it right.
Absolutely. So your first album, Step 1, came out in 1998. Your debut single, 5, 6, 7, 8, was filmed in Marbella. Amazing music video, very iconic, and it was on in nightclubs all the time. But my question to you is this: what is a Boot Scootin Baby, and is it still driving you crazy?
The song is driving me crazy, believe me. Well, they were all based on line dance terms. So foot kicking, finger clicking, they're all country and Western references. But the idea was that Steps were going to make line dancing cool. It never happened. It's still our most beloved song. If you look at ours, this is, if you look at stats, and things have changed the way people engage with music over the years. Spotify is a massive indication of, the popularity of a song, and 5, 6, 7, 8 is right up there. And we always tried, it was always that violin at the beginning, and everybody, all of the other guys will say that as soon as we hear that violin, we'd be like, oh, and we'd be like, oh my God, we are just the most uncool things. And we just, did Top of the Pops maybe one day, and All Saints had just been given it, I know where it's at. And then we'd be like, ding. It was just like, no. But we have learned to embrace it over the years. Now, on the last tour, we threw everything but the kitchen sink in it. We had a saloon and bales of hay and cowboys and cowgirls, gay cowboys, in fact, and and lesbian cowgirls. It was great. So it was an all-inclusive country and Western bar.
Amazing. And so after that album was released, you went on a 56-date US tour with Britney Spears' Hit Me Baby One More Time tour. You became friends, I understand. How did you get to know each other? Did you meet at like an awards party or something?
No, the story was that we were on the same record label. So it was Jive Records, Zomba Records. And back then in the day, Jive owned, they were so magnificent at pop. So there was the Backstreet Boys, there was NSYNC, there was Britney. And under their British label, there were Steps. And we did a gig in Singapore for the record company, and we were headlining. This was back in, I think, late 1997 or 98. And Britney was actually our support. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, and she was, and I remember she was lovely. She was there with her mum. Obviously it was before anybody knew who she was. just there with a little kind of kitten heels and a little kind of bandage dress with her mum. And I remember afterwards we messed up. We had a pool party and we kept in touch. And then that's where the association came. So she supported us, and then she asked us back to support her on tour. So it was basically as simple as that. And we spent a lot of time with her. And I suffered with really bad insomnia, and we were traveling, as you say, from state to state, sometimes, daily. My body clock was just, oh my God, it was just horrendous. And we had a sleeper bus. So we had little bunk beds and I couldn't sleep on this bus. So Britney, bless her, said, come and travel with me. So that's what I did. I traveled a lot on that tour with Britney in her jet, and her mum and her sister and Felicia and her security Rob. So yeah, I spent a lot of time with her. Yeah, and she was such a lovely, lovely girl.
Amazing. And so your next album, StepTacular, debuted at #1, and there was loads of amazing songs on there as well. Tragedy became such an iconic hit. It reinvented the song and introduced that dance I think everybody knows. Like if it comes on a party or a nightclub or a wedding, just everybody, it's the one song everyone joins in with. Did you have any idea at the time how big that would become?
No, it was part of that particular song. So it was part of Bee Gees Mania.
Yeah.
And it was our manager at the time, Tim's idea. And when it was actually our current manager at the moment, Peter Lorraine, and he now runs Fascination Records. So Peter has looked after Banana Armour for many, many years, and he now looks after Steps. The Saturdays, he's had a massive involvement in Girls Aloud. He now looks after Will Young and All Saints. So he is, such a font of pop knowledge. But I'm sure he was involved in the Bee Gees Mania initially, and then it was Peter and Tim, our manager, were like, right, Steps have to do Tragedy. And like you said earlier, we had dance routines to all of our songs. And the dance routine originally to Tragedy was this. And it was based on the movie Home Alone. Do you remember the Macaulay Culkin picture?
Yeah, of course, yeah, iconic.
Yeah, so but it turned into this Tragedy, and then it turned into this, which of course everybody now requests at weddings.
I do at other people's weddings as well. It always gets played wherever I go, basically. Also in shops or airports.
I mean, I'm not married yet, and nobody wants me, so maybe I'll play it at mine. Who knows?
That sounds very exciting, and I'll be there if you do, and if you invite me. Your third album, Buzz, another album that I've listened to so much. Every song is just an absolute classic. One thing I found really interesting, though, was that Cyndi Lauper is credited as a songwriter on that album. Can you tell me what her sort of involvement in it was?
Yeah, we had, by this time, I'm such a pop boy. I love great pop music. I always say that. If I wasn't in Steps, I would love Steps. I just love, pop bangers. But by this time, again, I mentioned earlier that, there were such cool bands around at the time. There were All Saints that were, parading around in their army trousers, giving it cool. And we were, giving it Sail Be Mine, which was so cheesy and so uncool. So we wanted to gain a little bit more control. So so Pete actually wrote half of the album, but our stipulation for doing another album was that we actually got to write a track ourselves. So we each had a track individually. I wrote a track. I had many writing sessions actually, but on that particular album, I ended up writing a track with Andrew Frampton, who'd written our previous hits. But I'd also written some tracks with Gary Barlow. And I still have a demo actually that's not been released in a box.
Oh, really?
Yes, but that one we kept for I think extra tracks, bonus tracks, the songs with Gary. But so I wrote one with Andrew Frampton, and then Faye actually got to write with Cyndi Lauper. So that's how that came about. And I think Faye, we were talking about this a couple of days ago, Faye and I actually, and she's got demos of Faye singing with Cyndi Lauper doing backing vocals.
Oh, wow.
Amazing. How cool is that?
Very.
Yeah.
So I have to speak specifically about this song because every time it comes on, I have to turn it up, and it's just the most gorgeous song in the world. The Way You Make Me Feel, I love so much. And the music video recreated scenes from Dangerous Liaisons. How much fun was that for you to film?
Well, we always tried to give a nod to a well-known film. So, okay, so question. So what do you think Tragedy was based on?
I would say the last 5 years.
No. So Tragedy, wrong.
My dye job at the moment because I've done it myself.
Looking pretty good to me. Let's have a look. Show me your
Thank
roots.
you.
Show me your roots. Oh, no, that's good.
Not too bad. Well, it's taken 2 attempts.
For a lockdown do, that's good. You're all good.
It's acceptable with the curtains closed and the lights off. It's okay.
Yeah. Put a lovely filter on it. You'll be fine.
Right.
You're looking
My
fine.
hair looks best in the cinema, is all I'm saying.
Yes, mine looks best in candlelight. Well, we've not long done some promo, so we've had our people on call. So yeah, so I'm all kind of blonde and not acting or looking my age at all. Anyway, we digress. Where were we? So it wasn't the last 5 years. So Tragedy was based on For Weddings and a Funeral. So we always give a nod to a movie. So that's where the Dangerous Liaisons came about. I love this song. If you look back at our Steps back catalogue, it really sits up there with one of those pop bangers, and it's just one that we'll always be remembered for. I love it. I adore it.
Absolutely. So in 2002, you formed a duo with Claire called H and Claire. Did you ever consider any? Did you ever consider any other band names? Anything like Naughty Steps or?
Very good. I mean, I have been called many, many different kinds of steps over the years. But yeah, we just wanted to say what it did on the tin, H and Claire. And it should have been Claire and H, really, because when you actually write it, so H and, it becomes Hand Claire.
That's what I thought it was. I was like, I love this band, Hand Claire. They're great.
Yeah, Hand Claire, yeah. There's so many comebacks to that. I wouldn't even go there. But so the H, and we ended up using the ampersand, so the and symbol, and Claire them.
Now, in 2005, you starred in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And I would like to ask you, do you remember every colour that coat was?
Oh, of course. Only you put me on the spot now. I probably haven't said these colours for like 10 years. Red and yellow and green and brown and scarlet and black and ochre and peach and ruby and olive and violet and fawn, azure and gold. I've thought about it and I've forgotten it.
Right, so I was in the play as a kid, and I know most of it, but I see, interestingly, forget it at the exact same point you did. So I've got the colours in my notes, but I'm not going to look at them. Red, yellow, green, brown, scarlet, black, ochre, peach, ruby, olive, violet, fawn, lilac, I can't remember. And then it goes purple, white, pink, orange, blue.
Because there's a key change there. So I used to go into the harmony. So that's what I thought. I was thinking of the harmony then. Go on, carry on, sorry.
So yeah, so the full thing, I'll read it now. So this is the actual answer for anyone playing along at home. Is red, yellow, green, brown, scarlet, black, ochre, peach, ruby, olive, violet, fawn, lilac, gold, chocolate, mauve, cream, crimson, silver, rose, azure, lemon, russet grey, purple, white, pink, orange, and blue.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that. Thank you for shaming me. But to be fair, I mean, I haven't worn a loincloth for many, many years now. And I've had children since, and that's my excuse. There's only so much room for information in my head. Something has to come out for something to go in. I have to decant something to retain information.
I completely understand that. So I've remembered most of those colours, but I just can't remember where I live, which is why the middle bit's missing.
I mean, you're talking a long time. When did I do that? I think I was 27 when I did that.
Yeah.
And I'm 44 now. So, and it was my first West End job. And oh my God, I couldn't believe my luck. Oh my goodness me. And it was the first show I did as a young boy. So I was 11 and it was in a local production, a local amateur dramatics production. And I played Benjamin, the youngest brother. And I used to sit in the wings every night and watch a guy called Mark, and he played Joseph. And I would dream one day, and then it just came full circle for me. So yeah, I was a very, very lucky boy.
Love that. You are, of course, a passionate and outspoken ally. Have you got any messages for the trans community and why it's important to be an ally?
I'd say, everybody has the right to be their authentic self. And that's what we always say about Steps. Our concerts are all inclusive. and we want you to live your best life and be your authentic self. There are incredible people that are trailblazing at the moment, for the trans community. You have Angelica Cross, Living Cox, MJ Rodriguez. Just, I would say, educate yourself. I've learned so much by watching, trailblazing shows. I was aware of Paris Is Burning, those classics. Have you seen, there's an incredible documentary called The Queen from the 60s?
I've not seen that.
Okay, so I guess it was the original Paris Is Burning, and it's the original contest, and you have Andy Warhol in the audience watching. But they are, they're old school ones. But more current and mainstream shows like Pose is one. Tales of the City. You've seen Tales of the City?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love, Tales of the City, there was an original production of that in the 80s, which I adored. But I would just say, educate yourself. And just because people disagree with you, it doesn't change the fact that you exist. And you have the right to be your authentic self. And that's why I campaigned for so many years to get visibility on television with Dancing on Ice, and I got turned down and knocked back, and I was so happy that it happened in the end. So yeah, just because people don't agree with your existence doesn't change the fact that you exist.
It's very good advice. Now, you came out publicly yourself in 2007, and the interview was published on the day that you actually went into the Celebrity Big Brother house. Was that kind of nice to do that, because you could just put it out there and just get on with things? And
so that's why I embraced going into Big Brother. It's actually the reason I went into Big Brother, was to own my story, own my authenticity. And I could be in charge of that. So that's why I did that.
Being in the Big Brother house, I think, for about a month, did that prepare you years later for the lockdown that's just obviously happened?
It should have done, right? It was a bit surreal, that, because I was waking up next to a Jackson every morning. It was lovely. Jermaine was so lovely. I guess it was the original lockdown, right? No mobile phones, rations, no other human contact. I miss Big Brother. It was the social experiment that kept going and giving and go and and going on. I loved my time in Big Brother. It was quite controversial, the series that I did, because there was that whole Jade and Shilpa argument. I wasn't privy to any of those conversations that were going on in the house. They were all said behind my back. I was aware of bullying. There was definitely, a gang of bullies. And I spoke up about that, but I didn't know about, obviously, the racist comments, because I would have absolutely have stepped in.
I remember when you came out of the house, you had no idea that stuff had happened, and you're sort of learning about it for the first time, and then had to, on live TV, respond to something when you didn't have time to go away and read about it yourself.
Yeah, but you know what? There was no room for racism or discrimination anywhere. So I didn't need to be briefed on that. That's just, a human right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. In 2011, you all got back together for Steps the Reunion on Sky Living, a 4-part documentary series for anybody that didn't see it. Can you tell me how much persuasion it took to get you all back together, and how long that was sort of being talked about before it actually came together?
Well, we've been offered to get back together numerous times before, but it was never the right time, for various reasons, either professional or personal. So maybe somebody was, had a contract, or somebody was releasing music, or, somebody was pregnant. There were so many different factors that you have to take into consideration. I guess, if I'm honest, I was the last one to come to the party, because I'd had a successful career in musicals. I hadn't stopped working, for many, many years. I went from Joseph to Fame to Chitty. There was so many incredible experiences, and I felt like that part of me was kind of behind me. I'd gone back to college to retrain as an actor. So I never thought we would get back together, actually, if I'm honest. I completely loved our time together, and I always honored it, but I was a different person. But then there there's something just clicked in me, and I wanted to celebrate what we'd achieved. And that was the reason for coming back together for me. I mean, a lot of the others had lots of unanswered questions that they needed addressing. And I mean, I've actually not watched the series, to be fair.
Have you not? Oh, wow.
I never watched anything and watch anything I do. Once I've done it, it's done it, and it's kind of in the can.
You're going to love this interview, though. I highly suggest you watch it. So just play it on loop.
Really?
Yeah.
The only thing I did watch, to be fair, I watched and it was because it was so important to me, was my first skate with Matt, my dancing on ice skate. Just because that was just so emotional, and yeah, it meant so much to me and our community. So that's the only thing I've watched. But I digress. Back to the documentary. No, I've not watched it actually, but I'm glad we did it, because we kind of, in, how do I say it? Is it a classy way? But in a way that people could understand, we aired our dirty laundry for everybody to see.
Yeah.
And I think that just made people realize that we're just people, and we have problems, and we have issues like any other person. People can relate to that. And then off the back of that, everybody kind of empathized with our situation, and we sold 30 arenas. It was just crazy. Yeah, exactly.
Because the Ultimate Collection came out, had a bonus track, Dancing Queen. You went straight in at #1 again. How did it feel to know that people still cared about Steps after all that time? There's still so much love and goodwill for you all.
Dancing Queen was just meant to it was meant to close the chapter, because we're always compared to ABBA. So we thought, you know what, let's give everybody what they want. And we recorded Dancing Queen just as a bonus track for the album. Yeah. And then when the album went to #1, we were like, okay, there's a little bit of demand for this. And then the tour was released. And then we ended up doing, I think it was 30 dates. It was crazy. So that kind of started the ball rolling for conversations about new music. We did we have a place in pop? Should we? Are we too old? You know, so many different components. But it's a machine now that takes a lot of oiling behind the scenes. You know, just because you don't see us for a couple of years doesn't mean that we're not working. You know, we're sourcing songs, you know, we're working out a marketing campaign, we are creating ideas for videos, you know. So there's lots of exciting things, especially at the moment. There's so many things that are happening that you don't know about yet. Oh, I can't tell you. And I'm super excited. So
very exciting, because that tour that you went on, I think, sold 100,000 tickets in 2 days. And to say you did a massive arena tour around the country, I was lucky enough to get tickets for the O2 Arena, and honestly, it was the best party I've ever been to. Like times a billion. It was just so much fun. Everyone there knew all the words, they knew all the dances, everyone was up on their feet the entire time, and it was electric from start to finish.
Thank you. And you know, and that's what it's about for me. It's about just having one massive party. And like I said earlier, it's about that safe space. It's about being your authentic self, living your best life. Come and do not be judged. I remember on the last tour, there was a guy, and he was in the front couple of rows, and he had on his t-shirt, "Thank you for letting me be me." And I've got goosebumps thinking, every time I think about it, I get goosebumps. And we made him stand up, but we put the spotlight on him, and everybody gave him, you know, a massive cheer, because, you know, we need more of that in the world. We need more spaces. We need more inclusion, more equality, more diversity, all of these things that should be just, you know, natural. But a Steps concert is that safe place.
It really is. And it's also a really great place, incidentally, to get a foam finger, which, as I said earlier, I've had on display proudly since about 2000.
Go and get it. I want to see it. I want to see it in action. Go and get it. Yeah. Yeah, but what do you say with the finger? Ready?
I don't want to do it. I don't know. In case of all noise comes out.
I'll do it. Don't worry. So we've just done a lot of choreo last week with Michelle. So Michelle Visage, and we were teaching Michelle that, and we were like, "That's what you do at a Steps concert." And you know, she is just an incredible lady. I mean, just to have her now just, you know, call me a friend is just incredible. It's just, Drag Race was always my safe space.
Yeah. How did that come about, by the way?
We were actually doing an Instagram live We were talking about the album, and it was backstage at the Royal Variety performance. I think it was maybe last November or something like that. And we were just chatting, you know, as you do. And it was actually me. I said, you know, we should do something. Why haven't we done something? And she was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, I've got blue tack in my hand. Sorry. It's my children's blue tack. Look at me just doing that. So basically, I said on the Instagram live, we should do something. Why haven't we done something? And Michelle was like, yeah, let's do it. And then after the Instagram live, our manager was in the room and he said, I've got an idea. She should be the guest vocal on Heartbreak In This City. And we were like, yes, absolutely. And then the phone call started and Michelle, it was a no-brainer from Michelle. She went, absolutely, I'm free here. And all of the jigsaw pieces just fit into place. So there was no persuading. There was no kind of jigging of schedules. Everything just felt right and fell into place. So yes, you can thank me. There you go.
I will, because I love that song. I was so excited to see Michelle in it. I wasn't expecting that at all. It's amazing. So I love that.
Well, we did the video last week, and it's special. I bet it is. Yeah. So because of COVID and Michelle's filming, so we had to. We actually learned the choreography in two separate kind of units. So because Faye and I live this end of the country, and Michelle was recording Drag Race up in Manchester, Faye and I learned the choreography with Michelle. And then Lee and Claire, Lisa's obviously in Dubai, but Lee and Claire learned the choreography in London. And then we all came together the night before the video and kind of pieced it all together. So yeah, but we put in a lot of moves, or I suggested iconic moves that I know Michelle loves. So there are a couple of moves in there, especially for Michelle, that you were going to go off about.
I must ask you too, by the way, when I saw you live, in the song Better the Devil You Know, you juggled with actual fire. Oh, gosh. Did anybody lose an eyebrow at any point during rehearsals or during the live performance?
I've forgotten about that. Well done. We were scared about that. I mean, the girls actually, we practiced with, it's called fire poi. So it's basically like ropes with tennis balls on them, and you just kind of learned to kind of juggle this thing around your head. The girls had like beautiful kind of fire fans, you know, and no disrespect to the girls, that was still dangerous, but that is not as dangerous as this. So it was scary. I could do it without the fire, no problem, but adding fire into the mix and you become scared. So nothing got burned, thankfully, but as soon as I walked across the stage, I was like, put him in the bucket of water, get him out. So yeah, it was a little bit scary. I'm gonna have to stop you because I knew this was gonna happen. I've got a delivery happening. Can I just go and get it? Give me 1 second. I'll take the delivery.
This is the only bit I'll use.
Hi, Sarah.
So everybody has a solo section at each of the shows, and at a particular show you did Don't Stop Believing, but not only did you do that, there was an amazing animated background behind you with choreography and you were interacting with it. Did you come up with the idea for that? Yeah,
technology was advancing very quickly. And I think I was one of the first people to do that, interacting with screens. And since that happened, it's just kind of integrated into so many different performances now. You know, you see it a lot at, I love the Eurovision StepTacular, you know, but you see a lot of interaction, you know, with them, you know, touching screens. And I guess I was one of the first to do that. And I incorporated all of the fun elements from my youth. You know, I loved computer games, so we had like a massive Pac-Man chasing me, and I got shot up through the stage, and I kind of hit, you know, like raindrops, and yeah, that was super cool. You've just reminded me about that.
I loved how seamlessly you interacted with it too. So there was one scene where you kind of jump in the air, and then the next minute you sort of disappear, and then you're on the screen, and then you jump out of the screen, and then you land back on the stage again. It was really well done.
Oh, cheers. Yeah, no, and it obviously depended on what angle you were sitting in the arena. But I've watched that back actually on the DVD because we get to, you know, approve all of the shots in the DVD. Yeah. And I made sure that there were a lot of wide shots so you could actually get the whole effect of that. But thank you. I was really chuffed with that.
For anybody that doesn't know, can you give us an idea of what it's like backstage between songs? Because there's costume changes. Is it manic and crazy? And then after the concert, obviously everyone's flooding out at once. You get caught in a traffic jam. How do you deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, we design our shows in sections. So we'll have a theme for a section, and then we can kind of pick and choose our songs that kind of follow through with a theme or will lend themselves to a story. And then once that section is over, then we'll have maybe a little musical interlude, or maybe the dancers will come on and just kind of finish the song. And then magically we'll appear in full new getup, a new section. So I guess we have about 2 or 3 minutes to change into the next section. And it is pretty manic backstage. So we're literally sometimes running off the stage, you know, unzipping, taking a shoe off. On some changes, we literally, I just have to stand there, and we have like dressers that kind of like do your shoes up and, you know, change your head mic or, yeah. So it's pretty crazy, but it's fun. Snoring, by the way. My cat is snoring. I'm here. Hear her snoring. Where is she? Megan. Meg. Can you hear her? Sorry, Sarah, go on.
So in 2017, your 5th studio album, Tears on the Dance Floor, came out. What can you tell us what your personal favourite songs from that album are to perform?
Tears on the Dance Floor was quite scary for us, because it was the first album of new original material that we had released in donkey's years. So, you know, we didn't know if we had a place in today's pop market. All of the questions, you know, were we too old? Had we passed our sell-by date? But we could have followed trends. You know, we could have collabed with a really cool producer, or, you know, but we decided to shun all of that and just stayed true to ourselves. And it worked. We were unashamedly pop, which our fans loved. We never pretended to be cool. And when we released Scared of the Dark, that was such a barometer, a pop barometer for me. And it told us that people wanted this. You know, it went straight to #1. The album flew and stormed the charts, the tour, you know, there wasn't a seat left on the tour. So all of those boxes were ticked for me. But it was scary, I'm not going to lie. I was friendly with, I still am friendly with Darren Hayes from Savage Garden.
I love Darren Hayes. I spoke to him the other day on my show.
Did you? What a lovely boy he is. Yeah. And do you know, we're friends because we share the same birthday. So we just connected that way. That's the only reason we connected. But Darren has been very heavily involved, or he was on Tears on the Dance Floor. So he wrote Tears on the Dance Floor. No more tears on the dance floor. That was a song for him that he gifted to Steps. And there were so many incredible songs I loved on that album. We based the album on, do you remember Madonna's Confessions on a Dance Floor?
Yeah,
so just, well, we wanted banger after banger, you know, up tempo, rather than there being dips in there. And so it was based on that, really. But it was pretty scary releasing new music, I'm not going to lie. But it seems you guys were ready for it. And are still ready for it, because obviously the new album has just flown again. So yeah, it's exciting.
I'm in a constant state of readiness for your music, whenever and wherever it appears.
Poised and ready. Good girl.
Right? Constantly. I refresh the internet just all the time.
What did I say about social media though? Get off it. Unless there's steps involved.
Well, that's the only exercise I get, so I kind of have to do that.
I've just done a workout. So I do the school run. I have a little hour to kind of catch up on step shenanigans and planning and meetings and videos. And
I have the same.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've been organizing this, you know, for a little while. And then I have to do a workout mentally. It's good for me. I hate working out, I'm not going to lie, but I like the benefits of working out. And it means I can just eat cake and drink gin, really. And then by the time I've done that, and something, I like to do something positive with my day, and this is a massive positive for me. I've been vowing, and I've promised myself that I will use my social media and my platform to do positive things, especially for our community.
Yeah,
I get lots of requests, but this one stood out for me. So no, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I am an ally. I am a part of the community, and I want to fly that flag for humanity.
That really does mean the world to me. And I was so excited when you sort of said about coming on my show, and I was like, yeah.
Well, sorry if I've hijacked it, because originally you just wanted a little message, and I went, oh, I want to come on your show. I want to talk. I want to chat.
I immediately got all the merch out. I've just been watching step stuff for days. I watched a 2-hour 1990s, like those top 20 song things where you just introduce the song, then go on to the next one. I watched all of those on demand that were available.
Oh, we've been brainwashing you with steps away. Sorry about that.
That's fine. I've been kind of doing it to myself for decades anyway. It's completely fine.
But I mean, you've okay. So this is a question for you. Who has been your favorite guest? You can't say me.
God, there's been over 200 now.
I know, it's incredible.
Right? I mean, you mentioned him just now, Darren Hayes. I love. We spoke for nearly 3 hours.
Oh.
And so that was a recent favorite one. I've spoken to Boy George recently. Don Hahn, who was the producer of The Lion King. Catherine Ryan's been on my show 5 times. And I couldn't even start to, I love all of my guests for different reasons, which is why I invite them on there, because when I speak to people on my show, it's not just for the sake of doing it, it's to celebrate their careers and things I genuinely love. And, I wouldn't want to spend a week of my life researching something I didn't enjoy. So, every person on my show should know that I love them.
Look at you in demand. Wow, people keep coming back. I mean, you've had people from across the globe wanting to talk to you.
I really have. And, with the lockdown, as bad as it's been, it's also increased everyone's availability. And so where I used to just go sometimes on tour with a comedian or go to a film premiere, now I'm connecting with people in the last week. I've spoken to people in Australia and America and Canada. And I love that. It's kind of brought the world together in a really lovely way.
Yeah, I love it. And, all of this awareness is what we need right now. When people are actually pausing. I think the world needed this to just kind of take a step back, not under these circumstances, but people can actually sit down and digest. And this is the time to educate ourselves as well. So, thank you to you for doing this as well.
I do what I can to hopefully entertain people, but also educate and just shine a spotlight on people and causes and things that matter to me, and just hopefully matter to everyone as well, just to make the world a nicer place.
Every little helps as well.
Yeah, it does. Learn that at Tesco.
No, but all of the visibility, all of the awareness, little small changes. So for me, it wasn't a big deal, but it meant a lot to a lot of people in the community. I changed my pronouns on my Twitter account. Just something as simple as that, which isn't a big deal to me. And I had so much love and support for that. So and it actually made a lot of people do that as well. So little small changes.
Yeah, and everyone has pronouns, and it's not a big deal at all. But at least when people go to your profile, they know you're an ally and you're a friend, and you're sort of thinking about the wider community as well. And that's amazing.
Absolutely, yeah. Safe spaces.
You're on BBC's Tumble, and you were doing acrobatics. You did flips. You balanced somebody on your head. And my question to you is: do you still do that?
I don't still. I balance my children on my shoulders, but that's nothing like balancing a full-grown human. Funny enough, I messaged Holly this morning. Holly was my partner on Tumble, and she's done incredible things across the world. Cirque du Soleil shows. Shows in Vegas. Pretty death-defying stuff. And she put a little video up on Instagram earlier, and she, I just treasure the time. Especially when I wasn't a parent, so I was pretty carefree. I didn't have any responsibilities. I would question doing that again now that I am a dad, because you have that fear. What if something happens? But yeah, those things that I did, and it was probably why that show only survived 1 season, because it was just so dangerous. The tricks that I was doing were, I guess, life-threatening tricks, and we would sometimes get them on the Saturday morning in a camera rehearsal, and I would nail it, and then I'd have to do it live on TV that night. It was, a standing back tuck, or a round off, or free falling from 40 foot in the studio onto a crash mat, and landing on my feet. It was just crazy stuff. I can't believe I did it.
You're so incredibly talented. Everything you try, and when you're on Dancing on Ice, as you said, you made history with Matt Evans, the first same-sex couple on there. You're just so good at dancing, or just anything you try, and I love that about you.
Well, I'm a trier. I'm definitely a trier. Like I said earlier, that was so important to me because I'd campaigned on so many different TV shows for that representation and for the right to be my authentic self. And I encountered a backlash because of it, but overwhelmingly the response was positive. And just look at the effect it's had. Small ripples make big waves, and that's and the message of equality and love and visibility, it was out there and it had a positive change. Then the year after, Strictly. So this year, Strictly have had a same-sex couple. It's just started conversations across the globe. And I think if I had seen that on television when I was a little boy, I wouldn't have felt so alone or scared or isolated. And maybe my family would have started that conversation, and no disrespect to them, it just wasn't around, those conversations weren't had. But hopefully it's created a lot of good, a lot of positivity.
I really do think it has. Last November, Steps released their 6th studio album. Can you tell me, did the pandemic affect your recording of that? Were you stuck, as you say, Lisa's in Dubai? Were you able to come together to record that? And did it affect the release schedule of it as well?
Well, when we're in the middle of a tour, we're always asked the question, would you like to do this again? Because you have to plan ahead. The question was asked on our last tour, Tears on the Dance Floor. So this was 4 years ago. And we were like, okay, well, people have seemed to have embraced this new chapter of Steps, and they seem to love the new music. So why don't we do it again? But the question then was, what do we do? And just at the right time, we had a song land on our management's desk from pop goddess Sia. And that kind of shaped the whole direction. So as soon as we heard the song, it was, it wasn't written for Steps. It was actually written for Sia, but she said this wasn't right for her, but she specifically gave it to Steps. So we had first dibs on it, and we went, absolutely. It has Steps written all over it, the drama, the intensity, the key change, and as well as the association with Sia as well, just to have that. And that was the catalyst for our whole campaign. So we sat on that news for 4 years, I think. We recorded it the year after just to see what it sounded like.
Yeah.
We shaped the whole album around it. But just as the country was going into lockdown in 2020, we were all traveling to London to announce the tour. We had all of our TVs planned, big TVs. And then Lisa was told not to get on a flight because she was in Dubai. Faye's in Newcastle, I'm in Wales. So we were literally, all of our travel plans were cut. And we had to just sit back because we thought, okay, this is this is going to pass. Maybe we'll just, hold fire for a week. Then a week became 2 weeks, and then it became 2 months, and now it's a year. But yeah, we basically have put our plans on hold for a year. We were supposed to be on tour last November, but we can't control a raging pandemic. And luckily there is light at the end of the tunnel. The world is looking to be a safer place now, which is, a massive plus, obviously. And I think now our tour will probably be one of the first tours to go ahead in November. So it's going to be one hell of a party that everybody is looking forward to. There's been a lot of dark, and let's shine some light, shall we?
I'm going to try and get tickets for that as well. Sounds very exciting.
Sarah, you're speaking. I can put in a word.
Can you? Do you know someone?
I know somebody who can sort that out.
Amazing. Well, thank you to Faye in advance. I really appreciate it.
You little minx, you.
Instantly, if anyone doesn't have that album yet, I love it. I've got the signed
You've got a
edition.
signed one. How did you get that?
Amazon.
Get you. Oh, good old Amazon. Amazon
Hi.
knocking at my door. Oh my God. I think we've lived off Amazon, right? Oh,
Pretty much. Yeah. I think I know everyone that works at Amazon personally at this point.
Yeah. Do you know what? They should have trained Amazon drivers to be injectors. We'd all be vaccinated by now.
I'm honestly surprised at this point they don't go, oh, I think you might have run out of milk by now. I've just bought you some milk in case you want some.
Wait, what? You get your milk delivered by Amazon?
No, well, saying that, indirectly you actually can. So you can order food from Morrison's. We ran out of bread one day and I ordered some and it arrived 2 hours later.
What?
Yep.
Why do I not know this? My children eat me out of house and home. I should know these things. Okay, parent hack, parent tip. I'm going to look into that.
So if you ever need any impulse biscuits or pizza or something, you can have it arrive before you've talked yourself out of it.
Oh no, I always have an emergency stash of biscuits. And gin.
It's very important.
Absolutely.
So here's a question that I ask every guest on the Sarah O'Connell show. Can you tell me a fun fact about you? Something we may not know. It can be a hobby, a party trick, something like that.
Ooh, I guess a lot of people don't know that I paint. So I'm an artist. I've had a few exhibitions up in North Wales. I haven't painted a lot recently because I'm a parent and I just, I find it hard to find time to brush my teeth, let alone paint a canvas. But I'd like to get back into that. So yeah, but I paint. That's what I do. I do a lot of landscapes, and I must get back to it. Yeah, I must.
That's amazing.
Yes, moment Michelle Visage is calling, and I have to put painting on the back burner. I
studied that as well as it happens. I've got a degree in 2D animation, right? And I do sort of caricatures in my spare time. I also love painting landscapes and just crazy looking cartoonish animals and stuff like that, but kind of realistic but cartoony. Does that make sense?
How do you get your characters onto film? Do you is it the old school? Do you do like pages and take a picture of pages?
Right. So when I was doing actual animation to start with, in the 1990s, just to date myself a little bit, I used to have like this tracing paper, and you'd do one frame, and then you'd have a light box and it'd shine light through it, and you'd put the next frame over that.
I did it.
You sort of roll them backwards and forwards to see the movement. And it was a horrible process. You then have to scan every frame into your computer, redraw over the lines, color them in, and it was a horrific process. But I've moved more now into just doing art and paintings and drawings and stuff in my spare time.
That's great. I mean, the tools that are available these days, you can do so many things. It's advanced so quickly. But I used to do a lot of that in school. The not stop motion, because that was actually with physical models, wasn't it? But yeah, trace it, take a picture, trace it, take a picture, and then each time. Do you remember the little books you used to have in a book, and you'd put draw a little man in the corner, and then it would turn into, so you'd flick the pages, and then it would turn into a little animated feature then.
I always used to get in trouble, genuinely. Every single one of my school books in the corner would have a little film that I'd made about something.
Oh, I love that. Oh, wowzers. Oh, do you know, back when life was simple, right? And now we have Nintendos, and oh my gosh. I remember my mum used to, in school holidays, we lived in the middle of a beautiful green valley in the Rhondda. So my mum used to say, right, on you go, out you go. So we used to go up the mountain and make dens out of ferns and take our mum's trays and kind of slide down the mountain, and those things, I always remember those memories. They're just so simple and so precious. But
Absolutely.
Now everything is very fast paced, and it's all about quantity and more. And I think we need to just take a little rain check.
Yeah, I completely agree. And now, so you are also a host on BBC Radio Wales. Can you tell us about your show? When are you on? When can we tune in? And what is your show about?
Yeah, well, last year in the pandemic, I ended up doing We Love the 90s show, because I'm such a pop boy, and our time in the pop world was mainly in the 90s. So I got to play all the music I love, interview all of my friends in the pop world. So it was just one big party, basically. And it went down so well that they've actually given me my own show now on a Friday night. So it starts at 10 o'clock on a Friday night. And because we can't go out and party, I bring the party to you, which is lovely. And again, it's the same premise. I play such great music that I love, and I get to interview all of my friends from the pop world on it as well. So yeah, it's and sometimes, I mean, I forget that I'm on radio, so I divulge a bit too much information, I guess. But I love it. And it gives me a reason as well for getting out of the house and going to the studio. I could actually have the studio set up in the house, but it's nice to just go out. I do my COVID test, so I know that I'm clear to go into the studio. Everything's scrubbed within an inch of its life. So it's a safe place. And I absolutely adore it. But yeah, so I'm there for 1.5 years, I think now.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely do.
So Friday nights, everyone needs to tune into that.
Aptly named Friday Night H. There you go. Friday Night H, BBC Radio Wales. And I've got Bewitched on, my lovely friends from Bewitched. They're coming on.
Amazing.
One of my bezies from my time in the pop world back in the day was Kiwi from Bewitched. And I know Dale and Lindsay and Sinead really well, but Kiwi was always my, you know, my mucker. And she's exhausted at the moment. She has twins. But I know all about that. So yeah, we share many stories.
So your friends go onto the show actually just for a bit of a break and to de-stress for a bit and then go back home.
For a bit of a natter. Like you said, you know, during the pandemic, people's time, they're a lot more available and people just want a bit of happy. And hopefully I provide that. So I just say, pour a glass of wine, put your disco pants on and come and have a chat. And they do, which is lovely.
Fantastic. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, you're also an actor. You've been in things like Skins and M For Middlesbrough.
Oh, yes.
I had Johnny Vegas on my show for Death on the Time. I think was the second one of that.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
You know, again, I haven't watched these things. I just do them. And they just, I know, I don't, you know, they're just fun for me. And I did it because obviously Johnny was involved. I know Jason as well. So I was doing the scene with Jason. And again, Skins, I did that like, oh my God, like 15 years ago. That was just a cameo. But I've been very lucky because of my job that it brings lots of different opportunities. And if something sounds fun, then I'll do it. And yeah, and those were two little opportunities I couldn't turn down.
Are there any shows that you're enjoying at the moment that you think I'd love to be in that for a cameo or a part or anything?
Oh, do you know what? Well, funny enough, this morning, when I did the school run, I did a little bit of admin, and I had a look on social media, and it was just full of just so much negativity. I was feeling a bit overwhelmed by everything, you know, and people having a rant for some reason or another. So what I did, and my go-to, and I love it because it just makes me feel all warm inside, I put Downton Abbey on. And I love, do you know what, just when, I just love the elegance of the show. So if it was still running, I'd love a little part on Downton. That would be nice. Love it.
Really good. You've alluded to some stuff. Is there anything you can tell me that you're working on next, things that we can expect in 2021? Of course, you've got that tour coming up later in the year, of which I'm going to try and be in the front row.
Of course you are. Yes. Well, Sarah, I can't tell you those things, can I? Because, you know, people are aware of this interview, so they're going to know where it's come from, right? Yeah. So I can text you them. I can text you all of the details, but we can't say it on this platform.
That works for me. I just want to know personally myself.
So sorry, everybody that's watching. You can't know, but Sarah can.
But what I will say is this, when those things are announced, you're very welcome back here anytime we can talk about all that good stuff too.
I will, absolutely. And I'm super, super excited about some things that we have planned, some things that have been in the can for a long, long time. But I mean, I guess the major excitement at the moment is the collab with Michelle Misage. And I'm just super, it's just the perfect marriage.
Yeah. Of
pop and our community, you know, and Twitter and Instagram and social media is just exploded. It's just perfect. I love it.
My final question, have you got any messages for people watching the Sarah O'Connell Show and your fans around the world?
Oh, hello. Oh, my goodness me. Well, I feel quite honored to be being interviewed by you. I do. I mean, the people that you have interviewed, I feel like I'm in fabulous company. So thank you for having me, Sarah. And I'd like to come back. That'd be nice. If you've not deleted me off Facebook.
You're welcome anytime. If I've got another interview on, I'll just cancel it and we'll make it happen.
Or if you have a cancellation, I'll be there, yeah?
Oh, no. If you want to come on my show, I'll just cancel whatever's going on. Dentist appointment, anything.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Sarah. I've loved it. Thank you.
It's been an absolute treat for me. I've loved Steps and I've loved you as long as I've known you, and I will continue to buy every album and go to every tour and watch every single thing that you're in.
Well, I mean, box ticket for me. Thank you. And of course, you can get tickets. I will sort that out for you. No worries.
That'd be amazing. You're now officially my best friend for life.
Until you interview Faye, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll go straight to the source and get Faye and then the tickets. And then I can get you tickets and it'll be great.
Yeah, great. I know. Push to the side. It's fine. Story of my life.
I'm just joking. So Ian H Watkins, thank you so much for your time today.
You're very, very welcome. It's been a pleasure. It seriously has. Thank you.
And thank you to everybody watching at home. Be sure to share, subscribe, give this video a big thumbs up and leave lots of lovely comments. I'll see you all again soon for another episode of The Sarah O'Connell Show. Bye.
Bye.